What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content that we have coming out. And with this video, we're going to be diving into Marvel Dark Age issue number 1. Written by the amazing Tom Taylor, we are finally seeing what the Watcher has been watching for all of these years. We learn of a new mysterious being known as the Unmaker, and we're being introduced to a future that is vastly different than present day. And with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we dive into issue number 1 of Dark Ages, I am super excited to get into this line. Not knowing really what to expect, but after giving it a read, this is absolutely phenomenal stuff, and I am really excited to see where this story is going to land. But this story is picking us up in New Jersey. We have Peter Parker, MJ, Luke Cage, and Jessica Jones. Not only that, they are accompanied by their 2 children, of course. And this is just a regular day. A kickback day for everybody to relax, have a slice of pizza, and just enjoy company. But of course, we know in all of Marvel, regular days can go chaotic very quickly. And while everybody is enjoying themselves, while little May is really starting to get these powers, she's being able to climb on the ceiling and all kinds of stuff, and we can only imagine how much of a headache that is with a toddler. But in the midst of all of this greatness going on, this is when the spider sense goes off all across the world. We see Miles, we see Gwen, Peter Parker, everybody that has a spider sense is feeling this right now. And this is something bigger than they have ever experienced. Feeling like freaking Galactus is taking a bite out of the planet. Feeling like something has already happened. And with their spider senses going crazy, moments later across town, there are tremors going off. And we have Moon Girl, arguably one of the smartest individuals on the planet, if not the smartest. She's doing some calculations, she hops on her freaking T-Rex, and she heads across town, heading for Mr. Fantastic. And it's not just the spiders that sense something, because Jean Grey can feel this, Charles Xavier can feel this, and more than anything, it seems to be talking to Apocalypse. And so we can only imagine what is on its way, what is about to devastate the entire world. Now, with Peter Parker's spider sense finally fading a little bit, he doesn't know what this means. He does know that something catastrophic is about to happen, and that means he needs to get to the Fantastic Four. He needs to get to Reed Richards and find out what the freak is going on. And that is when we're taken to the Fantastic Four. With Moon Girl making her arrival, she has calculations and a good hypothesis on what is going on right now. And by all calculations, it seems like there's some kind of impact, repeated impacts happening to the Earth. But the only thing is, it's not happening from the outside. These impacts seem to be coming from the core of the Earth. And at this rate, it's only going to be a matter of time before the Earth shatters into pieces. And as they're discussing all of this information, this is where we see the arrival of the Watcher. And the Watcher lets us know that this is what he has been watching for. And right now, as it stands, the Earth, it only has hours. And this is where the Watcher fills us in on everything he knows about what is going on, saying that 10 billion years ago, a living machine had been created. Now this machine, it was made to protect the universe, to stop anything that would do it harm, and to literally swallow black holes. But over a millennia of feeding off of all of this darkness, something changed inside of this machine. It became corrupt. And this machine, known as the Unmaker, it became tainted and wild. And it turned on the very universe it was supposed to be protecting, and it began to consume everything, to unmake the entire universe. And with all of this consumption, the Unmaker became extremely powerful. So powerful that the only thing that could stop it was the Living Tribunal. But the Living Tribunal could not destroy it. The only thing they could do was put this thing to sleep, to put the Unmaker into a coma. And once inside this coma, they decided the best course of action was to put it at the core of a newly formed planet. That planet, of course, we know to be Earth. And so here the Unmaker has sat, and the Watcher has watched all of this time, waiting for this moment. And the Watcher warns them that once this thing wakes to its full power, it will crack open the planet and unmake this world and so many worlds beyond it. And so our team, some of the brightest minds in the entire world, they start devising a plan. And they realize their best course of action is to take this thing on head to head, to put it back to sleep, destroy it in some manner before the world cracks, before it becomes its full capacity. And so they devise a team. They assemble a strike force, starting with Vision, the living machine to fight a living machine, the Scarlet Witch, a shaper of reality to fight against beings that can change reality and unmake it. Of course, Doctor Strange, our Sorcerer Supreme, Invisible Woman to protect them from the heat of the Earth's core, and of course the Thing because he can really just punch the crap out of anything. And with them saying their goodbyes, they hop into a portal, and immediately we find ourselves in the Earth's core. Not only that, but we find ourselves confronted by the Unmaker. And as they stare up at the Unmaker, he is relatively unfazed by their arrival, so focused on one goal right now, and that is punching its way out of the Earth's core. This is what is causing all of those earthquakes, and these punches are being felt around the world. Even Wakanda, sitting on a bedrock of vibranium, is feeling this. They are feeling the trembles. Though their city isn't falling into chaos, that is not the case for most of the world, to include Atlantis that has fallen back into the ocean. Though technically it's already been in the ocean, but the city underneath is crumbling. And heroes from all over, from runaways to champions, X-Men, Avengers, everybody is doing their best to try to help everybody as all of these tremors happen all over the world. But there is only so much they can do up here as this thing continues to pound away at the Earth. And at the center of the Earth, this is where the battle begins. And we see the Thing, he jumps in, ready to do some clobbering time. It does not go in his favor. We see the Unmaker turn on him and vaporize him instantaneously, unmaking him right there on the spot. We see the Scarlet Witch, she attempts to reshape reality, but the Unmaker is just so freaking powerful. Everything she sends, he consumes. And eventually he is able to break down her defenses, and in doing this, he consumes her as well, completely unmaking the Scarlet Witch. With Vision completely losing his mind, he charges forth, going into the mind of the Unmaker, giving them just moments to be able to mount some kind of counteroffensive. And with Sue Storm and Doctor Strange being the only two individuals that are left here, in an act of desperation, Doctor Strange reaches out to other realities to find anything that he can use as a weapon against this thing. And in his search, he finds his weapon. He opens up a portal to where no electricity can function, a world where electricity does not exist. And the Unmaker, he sees this. He sees this portal opening up, and he shoots out a spear. And we see this impale Doctor Strange. Now it is too late for Doctor Strange. With this impaling his stomach, it is only a matter of moments before he dies. But he was able to get that portal open. And from that portal, we see a giant electromagnetic field, an EMP blast come flying in. This wave first touching our giant Unmaker, and it shuts the machine off. But when Doctor Strange died, the portal never closed. It remained open for the rest of time. And this EMP blast, it slowly made its way across the entire planet. And that was the day that the sky began to fall. Everything from Iron Man to Ant-Man, all electronics, everything that you could imagine goes offline. And that includes Spider-Man's web shooters. As he is trying to make his way back to Mary Jane and May, these web shooters go offline. He falls to the ground and he has to go running back, seeing that his apartment building is in complete and utter ruins. He screams out for the two, looking for them anywhere. Jessica Jones and Luke Cage are trying to clear out all of the debris. And with Peter Parker approaching, thinking he may have lost everything that he loves, everything that he holds dear, this is where we see little May lift up some debris like a freaking mini Hercules, finding everybody to be safe. And that's what's going to pick us up at present day. 7 years in the future. That was the day that the world ended. That was the day that this new world has begun. Because when that world fell, they built another one. A world to be proud of. But years after all of that ended, years after all of the lights went out, that's when the apocalypse came. And this is where we see Iron Man, we see Mr. Fantastic, we see Miles and Venom, and of course we see Apocalypse. Alright gang, so as we dive into issue number 2, we are picking up with Spider-Man giving us some narration. And he lets us know that when the world went dark, this is when all hell broke loose. With people scared, with people grieving, their fear and hurt, it all turned into anger. And through this anger, there were wars that were fought over borders, resources, ideologies. It was pure chaos. And between the initial earthquakes, with the loss of power, and these wars going on, there were billions of lives that were lost. But in all of this chaos, there was a voice that called out. Not just one voice, but many. Voices letting them know that it doesn't have to be this way. And these voices are made up of a wide variety of individuals. Everyone from Jean Grey to Black Panther. With a world in chaos, the mutants truly did take the opportunity to step up, working alongside the Avengers and anybody else who is left willing to help out and bring some kind of balance, bring some kind of peace to this planet. They took this opportunity to create something better. And having no power and smaller population, this means that the Earth started to flourish again, with no deforestation, with no pollution, or at least very minimal pollution in comparison to the world prior. With all of this going on, people banded together, and they created these tiny super cities. And each of these cities all linked together by powerful telepaths. And of course, the individual that is leading all of these telepaths is none other than Xavier. And so while the world may be divided, they are still connected. And through these connections, with opening their minds up to one another, they are able to create a new society, a better, more thriving one. And the capital of all these cities is none other than Wakanda. And inside the heart of Wakanda, we have the best minds that have been gathered together. These minds collectively, they are all connected by using Jean Grey. And we're seeing a little bit of everyone, from Dr. Doom to Tony Stark. Whatever of the brightest minds that are left on this planet, they have brought them here so they can have their own think tank, trying to come up with new ways of innovation, new power sources, new avenues to be able to help this society continue to thrive. And so far, from all perspectives, it looks like this new society, it's not too bad off. This post-apocalyptic world isn't really that bad. That is, until you go outside of the gates. And the way they protect their land, the way they protect these cities, or at least Wakanda specifically, is through Spider-Man's webs. And what Spider-Man does is he goes around and he creates webs all around the perimeter. This is a first line detection, the first line of defense. And who better to have monitoring all of these webs, keeping tabs on the vibrations, than freaking Daredevil, with Daredevil being tasked of finding out exactly the location where they're gonna have intruders. We see some werewolves break through the lines. With Daredevil giving the location, they honestly feel bad for the werewolves and vampires that are going to be attacking. And that's because they are running into Blade and his entire team. And these guys have one thing in mind: to hunt the things in the night. And so with Blade and his team making quick work of all of these monsters in the night, this is where we pick up with Tony Stark. Picking up inside of his little cave, he's sitting here trying to create things to the best of his ability. Not having electricity, not having technology, he's very limited in what he can actually do. But as him and Piper are sitting here having a conversation, a vampire is able to just stroll in the the front entrance. But he need not worry, because right behind that vampire, we see the one and only Captain America coming in and decapitating this vampire, just saying his hellos. And this is a very pleasant surprise for Tony Stark. And that is because they haven't seen Captain America in quite a few months. Many presuming that he might be dead, that he's not gonna make it back. They're filled with relief to be able to see him walking around here. And he lets Tony Stark know that he has been in Europe. And right now, it is currently ruled by an iron fist. And that's exactly what he wants to talk to Tony about. And so with him and Captain America going for a walk, we see that the years have not been nice to Tony Stark. With him being an amputee now, with him dreaming about just making inventions, things that could make this world better, machines that could make this world better. But these are all ideas that are stuck inside of his mind, that he can never bring to fruition because of this new world they live in. But Tony Stark, being very perceptive, he believes that Captain America is about to ask him to join the war or start a war with Europe. But Captain America, he believes that there's gotta be another solution, that there has to be another way of tackling this, telling him that there could be a possibility to turn the power back on, to be able to use your machines to do exactly what you intend them to do. And as Captain America separates some of the brush, telling him that there is something he wants to show him, this is where we see Dracula and Apocalypse. With Iron Man not sure what's going on here, he throws a light grenade, killing a bunch of the little vampire minions, Dracula grabbing him by his neck, Iron Man begging Captain America to do something to help, Captain America only looking at him and telling him no, taking his shield and knocking him out. And it is quickly revealed that this is not Captain America, this is Mystique. Coming in disguise, this was all a plan to kidnap Tony Stark. With their mission complete, they teleport themselves back to Europe. And with Iron Man waking up, seeing a giant statue of Apocalypse, we can only assume that the one they're talking about ruling with an iron fist in Europe is him. And Apocalypse has brought him here so that he can work for Apocalypse. For years, Apocalypse, he really underestimated not only human ingenuity, but human intelligence, believing that intelligence as superior as Tony Stark's would only be found in mutant kind. But over the years, he has learned that this is not the truth, that in fact these individuals could be very useful to him. And Apocalypse shows him exactly what he wants him working on, with Apocalypse trying to evolve himself to increase his power. As Tony Stark walks in here, this is where he sees Reed Richards. And it would be a lie to say that Tony Stark is not impressed, being able to build this barrier, keeping out the EMP. Because up to this point, he's tried creating things of this nature, unable to do it using vibranium, using adamantium, using whatever he can possibly get his hands on. And everything has failed up to this point. Because the reality is you would need a magnet or something equally as powerful to repel that EMP. But Apocalypse doesn't have a something. Apocalypse has a someone, and that someone is none other than Magneto. And with Tony Stark realizing everything that is going on, we see Kilgrave walk over to Tony Stark, Apocalypse telling him to take his mind. And as Apocalypse begins to walk away, he lets us know that he touched the mind of a being more powerful than a god. And then the earth stopped and the being slept. And what he wants is that power. What he wants to do is wake up the Unmaker. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we immediately see that Johnny has his flame on. And it looks like something serious might be going on. But the reality of the situation is that they're living normal lives, or at least to the best of their ability. Now, Spider-Man gives us narration through all of this. Picking up 7 years in the future, we have a bunch of new children running around. We have Jessica Jones and Luke Cage having their daughter Danny, Peter Parker having young May, and Johnny isn't doing any kind of fighting. He is heating up a tea kettle for a tea party. And so as everyone sits around, they're really just enjoying their day, having a good time, living their life to the best of their abilities. But as everyone is enjoying their day, we see the arrival of Jessica Jones. And as she walks up to everybody, they can see the concern on her face. Something has happened, and that something is Tony Stark disappearing. And that's where we pick up in the work lab of Tony Stark. Pepper saying that Captain America had come in, they walked out, and neither of them ever returned. And so having Blade, Wolverine, Gabby all sitting here working on the case, trying to figure out what happened here, they get the scent of Mystique. Realizing that this was some kind of trap, they follow the trail of wherever this leads to. Following this trail, going outside of the cave, they find the location where Tony Stark had been ambushed. Killing many vampires, he was not able to overcome them. And as they examine further, as they start to get the scent of who was here, they know that it was Apocalypse. And that's what takes us to the meeting of the minds, with Dr. Doom declaring that they have to do whatever it takes to get Tony Stark back. Now we know Dr. Doom, at the end of the day, he really doesn't care about Tony Stark's life. What he does care about is Tony Stark is unarguably the best weapons maker this world has ever seen. And if Apocalypse has him, who knows what they could create together. And Dr. Doom lets Black Panther know that everything you have built, this nation of free people trying to have a normal life, this will all go up in flames. Now, of course, Pepper is the first individual to raise her hand and say, "I will go get him." The only issue is, they don't even know if Tony Stark is alive. Not only that, they have absolutely no idea where he is being held. Not only that, they have spent years avoiding Apocalypse and all of his forces, doing everything they can to stay away from any kind of conflict. But they do have a weapon up their sleeve that could rush in very quickly and be able to be a scout for the forces of Black Panther. And that's where they send out Quicksilver. Now the idea is that Quicksilver, he would have been in and out in a heartbeat, really just to investigate what is going on, where Tony Stark might be held, and to find out any other reconnaissance he can along the way. And he might have done that. The only issue is, when he arrived there, he saw Magneto. He saw his father being held prisoner, being used as some kind of EMP blocker, and Quicksilver cannot help himself, with him rushing in as fast as he can possibly go. As he reaches out for Magneto, there is some kind of defensive force field that is preventing him from going in. Not only that, it sends a shock through his body. He goes falling to the ground unconscious. And that is because of the defenses of Doc Ock. Now at first they toy with the idea of locking him away with the others, of putting him under the control of the Purple Man like everyone else and putting him to work. But Apocalypse has a better idea. He wants to send him back as a Trojan horse. And with him arriving at the throne of Black Panther, they ask for a report. They ask for the sit rep. And at first he is very unresponsive. That is, until he looks up. We can see the purple in his eyes. And before anybody can even blink, Quicksilver is making his way around the room. He is doing some damage. He grabs a spear. With Spider-Man not being quick enough to stop him, we see Johnny go to turn his flame on, but he wasn't fast enough. And we see Quicksilver, he takes that spear and he jabs it directly into the back of the Human Torch. And with Johnny falling to the ground fatally wounded, it took Jean Grey 1 second to shut him down. But in that 1 second, there was absolute devastation. And as Sue rushes over to Johnny's side, he cannot control his flame. He tells Sue and all of the others that they need to run. They need to get away as fast as possible, with Sue refusing to leave his side, with her holding Johnny's head in her hands. We see the Human Torch light up for one last time before he completely disintegrates. Because no matter how powerful Sue Storm is, she could not stop the death of Johnny. She was able to protect herself. She was able to protect everybody in this room, but the Human Torch is dead. And so we pick up a little bit later with everyone sitting around the bed of Quicksilver. And now that he is in the right mind, obviously he feels entirely guilty for everything that just transpired. Knowing he wasn't in control, they understand this, but at the same time, he did just kill Johnny. And so this isn't easy for Storm, not in the slightest bit. But he starts to tell us exactly what he saw, using Magneto. Not only that, Apocalypse has gathered himself the smartest and greatest minds the Earth has ever had, with all of them under the control of the Purple Man. Now Sue, after hearing that Reed Richards is still alive, though she just lost Johnny, this gives her some kind of new purpose, a sense in life again, some kind of hope to strive for. And that information right there, it cemented all of the events that are about to happen. Because Reed Richards and Franklin, they were presumed dead for at least 4 years now. Finding out that they are alive, Sue will stop at nothing to go get them. And so they prepare the strike force because they are heading into Europe the very next morning. Now, picking up with Apocalypse, he knows what is on the horizon. He knows that they are going to retaliate. He knows that they will be coming for everyone that they love. And though they will be mighty in force, Apocalypse, he has his army as well. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up on a helicarrier. No longer having electricity, nothing ever working when it comes to electronics, they have turned this into a giant ship that can sail on the seas, using multiple men as the crew, having Nightcrawler as our captain. What this ship does is it transports individuals trying to flee Europe, trying to bring the last surviving members of humanity to some kind of free nation. And the ship's primary purpose is transporting refugees, being able to carry 100,000 plus. They are trying to save as many lives as they possibly can. And we see all of them arrive in Wakanda, our refugees being met by Storm, welcoming them to this new land, this new safe haven where their family can actually grow. Of course, the Queen is not the only individual to greet them. This is where we see Black Panther, and they really just have a quick discussion about how many refugees they brought back and how many more are waiting to flee Europe. And while they all understand the huge risk that comes with trying to transport this many refugees, trying to bring all of these souls over, but as long as Europe is under the dictatorship of Apocalypse, Wakanda's borders will continue to stay open to anybody that needs them. But with this arrival of refugees, this is where we see Pepper arrive completely suited out in the steam-powered Iron Man suit. And that is because they have a mission they are set on getting done. Knowing that Mr. Fantastic is alive, knowing that Tony Stark, Magneto, everything that Apocalypse has going on, this is going to be a rescue mission. But they're gonna need resources. They're going to need help in all of this. And so all of them going onto the helicarrier, having a discussion with Admiral Fury. Now at this point, Admiral Fury, all of his forces, they just got done traversing the ocean, and now you're asking us to return back and take that risk again, not giving anybody enough time to rest. But this isn't necessarily a request. Regardless, Sue Storm and Pepper, they are both headed out. They are going to do this rescue mission regardless if they have the help of the Admiral or not. And so with Fury agreeing to these terms, we see Storm, the Queen of Wakanda, let it be known that this is a threat to her nation as well as her people. With them being held captive, she will go over there and liberate them. And so gathering their forces, we have Victor Von Doom, we have Iron Man, we have the Wolverines, Sue Storm, Peter Parker, all of them are going in for this rescue mission. And it doesn't take long for them to get on the high seas. With Storm taking the wind and pushing their sails, they are on their trail. And later on that evening, they stop themselves 10 miles short of Portugal. With Storm on the edge of exhaustion, They had to stop, they had to take a small little break, at least for the night. And with everyone taking a break, of course, Doom has some input on this rescue mission, saying that this should not just be a rescue mission, this should be a strike mission. We should go in, strike at the heart of Apocalypse, and get ourselves out of there. If we can kill Apocalypse, we might be able to take over Europe. Now, Doom says he has no interest in doing such things. He doesn't want to rule Europe, and he lets them all know if he was going to actually want to rule anywhere, it would be Wakanda. But in the midst of this discussion, this is where we see the young children of Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Peter Parker, and Mary Jane. Both Danny and May, they snuck aboard. Knowing that their parents would tell them no, they snuck aboard to join in the adventure. The only issue is, in that moment, Spidey senses start going crazy. And that is because they are now under attack from the Ghost Riders. With a grappling hook impaling the chest of Admiral Fury, we see him drug off into the water. With them caught completely off guard, they are getting raided by pirates. Now, in this new world, we see that the Ghost Riders, these guys all made a deal with the devil, and so our pirates have been dragging people down into the waters for all of this time. And wasting no time, our team, they jump into the fight. With Colossus throwing Wolverine, our crew, they know that they are outnumbered here. That if they stay in these waters, they have no chance. The only option they have is to get to the Guardians of the Port. With this being 10 miles away, we see Storm, she pushes those sails, and they try with everything they can to defend everybody on board and make it to their location. The Ghost Riders being so close that they can smell them, about to be boarded by all of the Ghost Riders. That is, until the Guardians of the Port make their arrival. A giant dragon coming up from the water, being the one and only Fin Fang Foom. And riding on his back is Ant-Man. The two of them together, they are the Guardians of the Port. And in one giant blast, we see Fin Fang Foom take these pirates off the board completely. And though our heroes have made it across the sea, they have made it to safety. It has come at a huge cost. It has come at the loss of Admiral Fury. And with his death, it is just one more friend that needs avenging. Alright gang, so as we dive into issue number 5, we are picking up with some sadness. We are picking up at the funeral of Nick Fury. And with our heroes currently in mourning, we see the arrival of Deadpool. Of course, Deadpool surviving through the apocalypse. He is going to be their guide. He will be the ferryman through the wasteland. Meanwhile, over in Paris, we pick up with Apocalypse and Tony Stark. And right now, Apocalypse wants to know if something can be done. Looking to Tony Stark, maybe one of the few individuals that might make this possible. They have to go down there to find out. And by going down there, we mean the center of the earth, where the Unmaker is resting. And as the Unmaker is sitting here in its slumber, we see the portal, the one that is shooting out the EMP that disables all electronics on this planet. And as they come upon the Unmaker, they see the body of Doctor Strange. No one has touched his body because it is still protected even though he is dead. But Apocalypse and his mind-controlled heroes, they have come down here to examine the portal that is emitting this EMP. And what Apocalypse is trying to figure out is, can this portal be shut down? Even if it is temporary, can we stop it? Now our heroes, they believe that there is a neutron star on the other side of that portal. That is what must be emitting this EMP strong enough to cover the entire planet. Of course, this is just a running theory. They can't go through the portal and find out, because if it is in fact a star, they will die as soon as they cross through. And so the question Tony Stark has is, how long do you need? Apocalypse has been studying the Unmaker for many years now, touching every part of its sleeping mind. What he wants to do is inhabit it, to take control of a power that is far beyond a celestial or even a god. And so he tells Tony Stark that he wouldn't need long, most likely an hour at max. And so the question still remains, can you contain the power of a neutron star for 1 hour? Tony Stark letting him know that it's impossible. But Tony Stark loves a challenge. Taking us back to our heroes, they currently have a big dilemma on their hands. That dilemma comes in the shape of their children. The daughter of Peter, the daughter of Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. The two of them, they decided to tag along. They were stowaways and no one had any clue to this until the battle was already underway. The battle that took Nick Fury's life. And so, of course, Peter and the others, they want to send the kids back. Send them back across the ocean where they are safe and protected and out of the reach of apocalypse. The only problem is, Storm is staying behind. She is staying with our heroes, and they are going on this rescue mission, with Multiple Man being the only one to stay behind. He is capable of crewing an entire ship, and so with all of the adults trying to figure out what their next course of action is, we have Dr. Doom who chimes in and tries to give a little bit of parenting advice to Peter, letting him know that while he doesn't agree that the children are here, and that they are definitely in some kind of need of discipline and a good father figure, if it were not for them being here, they would have no idea that attack was coming. It is only because of them they had those few seconds to prepare for the attack. But everyone, they come to the realization that the girls, they have to stay. This is the safest place for them to be, because out there on the ocean, with just Multiple Men to protect them, there is a good chance that someone comes and attacks. This is a chance that none of them are really willing to take, especially when it comes to children. And so, stuck between a rock and a hard place, they decide the best course of action is to bring the children with us, that way we can protect them. And so, with this decided, we see the Deadmobile. This is Deadpool's steampunk double-decker bus. And while some of our heroes, they do question why Deadpool is going to be their tour guide, the truth of the matter is Deadpool, he has been up and down this continent. He knows every place not to go to avoid danger and to avoid being freaking murdered. And that's because he's gone to all those places. He's been beaten, he's been stabbed, he's been blown up. And so he knows exactly what to avoid. And with them getting underway, they travel all day. But as it becomes night, Deadpool lets them know that they have to stop. There are terrifying and horrible monsters in the night, driving also with no headlights. This being more or less a steam-powered or coal-powered vehicle. All the power is directed into making this thing go. So for the night, they are stopping. They light a fire. They all gather around it. But every one of them, they feel something. Something is staying downwind. Something is keeping tabs on them. And so Blade and our Wolverines, they decide it is time to go hunting. Going out into the woods, they go looking for whatever is stalking them. And it doesn't take long for them to find exactly what is hunting them. And coming out of the darkness, we see one of them get impaled. Gabby having a very unique power. Because of the nanites in her body, she was able to not feel a single thing, never feeling pain until the Unmaker came. With the EMP going across the entire planet, her nanites were also disabled. And so now she feels everything. And with a blood-curdling scream, all of our heroes are now notified that there is something out there. And so all of our heroes, they prepare. They circle up and they get ready for whatever is coming out of the dark. As Moon Girl turns her light to the shadows, this is where we see Venom. We see Carnage. The two of them, they are mashed together. And they are hunting. And as the attack begins, we see Devil Dinosaur. He steps in. He intercepts the first attack. And with him taking this hit, he grabs hold of the symbiote and he throws him. And our heroes begin to circle him up. our heroes being caught off guard by a symbiote hybrid, one that was most definitely sent by Apocalypse. Once they figured out exactly what they were fighting, they knew exactly how to take it down. Knowing their weakness, knowing their fear of fire, this is where we see Iron Woman powered by a freaking furnace, coming in, opening up her palms, and letting go a whole arsenal of fire, burning the symbiotes right off of the host. Storm telling Sue Storm that she needs to put up a shield around everybody. And we see Storm, she brings down the lightning. She brings down the thunder. We see Storm, she lights these two up. The two symbiotes, they appear to burn to a crisp. And the only thing left standing is Miles. Peter rushing over to his side, trying to make sure that he is okay. Nobody seeing him in so much time. They have finally gotten one of their friends back. But Miles, he saw, he heard everything. He knows exactly what is happening. He knows exactly what Apocalypse has up his sleeve. He knows how Apocalypse is going to destroy the world. Alright gang, so we are picking up with Miles finally being free from both Venom and Carnage. In the early days of the Dark Ages, Miles and Venom, they were really working together. They had a good thing going. They were helping each other survive through all of the turmoil. The only problem is when Carnage arrived. The two of them both bonding to him, having them whisper in his ears all of these years. He lost himself. The question that Dr. Doom has is, why would they work with Apocalypse? The answer to this question is a relatively easy one. It is because of the promise that he has been making. Apocalypse has been working on getting that EMP gone. There will be a moment when the power comes back on. And when that happens, he promises both of the symbiotes an opportunity to make their escape off this planet. That is, of course, before Apocalypse destroys it. As we hop over to Europe, we are picking up with a meeting of the minds. Octavius, Tony Stark, Reed Richards, Beast, a little bit of everybody is here. What Tony Stark has devised is a weapon that would really be able to close this portal up, or at the very least, be able to temporarily stop it. The sphere he created though, it requires a metal that they just don't have. That of course is adamantium. They have Captain America's shield, but the problem with this shield is it's not pure, and it's definitely not enough. For Tony Stark to be able to complete this device, we see teleportation of Cyclops, the Purple Man, and Apocalypse, going directly beneath their feet into some dark tunnels. This is where we find Wolverine. As Logan charges in, Cyclops tries to let him know that you have to stop me. You can't let them do this. You have to take me off the board. But before he can even get anywhere close to him, Kilgrave snaps his fingers and Cyclops completely incinerates Wolverine. This leaves nothing more than an adamantium skeleton. Now possessing the material they need, Tony Stark can complete this device. With Tony Stark getting to work, Dr. Octavius, he brings Apocalypse to the side to have a conversation because he's starting to piece things together. He was more than willing to work for Apocalypse this entire time, needing no need for Kilgrave to control him, letting Apocalypse know that there is a big hole in his plan because what he wants to do is transfer his mind into the Unmaker, make himself that god. In doing this, we don't know if his abilities, his mutant powers are going to transfer over, so he might not be able to teleport out. And if he can't do that, that means he is going to punch his way out. He is going to destroy the Earth to free himself. And Apocalypse is well aware of this. In fact, he has already taken this into account. And the truth is, he doesn't care. If that is what it comes to, then so be it. Letting Doc Ock that he is just too clever for his own good, we see Dr. Octavius ripped in half. With his plans almost complete, Apocalypse is not letting anybody stand in his way. Any resistance, any hesitation, it is getting stomped out. Taking us to the last hope of all of humanity, we're picking up on the double-decker bus. We have Dr. Doom and Moon Girl currently creating a plan that just might work. This is their Hail Mary pass. This is the last-ditch effort to try to save everything. Not only to save the ones they love that are currently under control, but to stop Apocalypse from destroying everything, leaving Devil Dinosaur and Miles behind. The rest of our heroes, they go to save the day. And this is all initiated with Storm. As she creates a hurricane over the Louvre, Apocalypse gets his forces into play, telling the Purple Man that it is time. We see the release of Apocalypse's forces. Unfortunately, what they did not anticipate, though they very much should have, they find their friends. Beast, She-Hulk, Captain Marvel, Captain America, Dracula, Cyclops are all going against our heroes. And though many hesitate, Dr. Doom lets them know that this doesn't change the plans. We continue on and we push through anybody that stands in our way. With the battle getting underway, we see all of our heroes trying with all of their effort not to kill their friends, but at least take them down. All except for one person. That person is Deadpool. Because Deadpool, he pulled out his pistol and he put one right in the head of Kilgrave, taking him off the board just like that. All of the heroes are now free. Of course, this was not the plan. The plan was to render him unconscious. But with Deadpool driving the bus, he didn't actually hear the whole plan. Regardless though, the Purple Man is taken out. And our surviving heroes, they have just gained one heck of an advantage. Not only that, but inside the facility where we have Apocalypse preparing to do what he does. Reed Richards, Tony Stark, everybody is free from this grasp, and now they are ready for some revenge. With him lifting up his arm to open up a portal, he lets them know that they are far too late, that this evolution is inevitable. And our team knew that as soon as he teleported, there would be no reaching him. They had to stop him before he did that. And that's exactly where Dr. Doom and Moon Girl's plan come into play. That's when they unleash Sue Storm. Using her abilities, she was able to put a very small force field around his frontal lobe, disconnecting him from his X-Gene completely. He no longer has his powers and abilities, with Nightcrawler popping in, grabbing his armor, and getting out of there. This was supposed to be the end of it. But Dr. Doom, he made a deal with Dracula, wanting to ensure that all of this is done with. He sends in Dracula, turning Apocalypse into a vampire. This is how you destroy the indestructible man. You manipulate a monster into making him destructible by making him a vampire. And just so lucky for everybody here, they have the best dang vampire hunter to ever walk the planet. Both of them being untrustworthy, we see Blade jumping in and he decapitates both of them. And one fell swoop, Dracula and Apocalypse are taken out. As they free Magneto, this war is coming to an end. Europe is now free from the grasp of Apocalypse. And while there are still factions of cannibals and raiders and so much more out there, this is a new day. This is a new opportunity. Even after civilization has completely collapsed, there can still be something better. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. You know, I've been saying it for some time. I 100% wish we got some more of this. I really hope that we're gonna get some stories later on that fill in the gaps. We jumped 7 years from the day it happened to the ending of Apocalypse's rule. It would be really interesting to see where a lot of the heroes are, how they actually met their fate, really play it out and see where these stories go. The potential is there. As for this miniseries, these 6 issues, I thoroughly enjoyed this entire line. When it comes to our last battle, it really did end very quickly. That's probably why they inserted Deadpool in this to begin with. Because while everybody else is out there really just pulling punches, Deadpool is firing away and he puts one right in the head of the Purple Man. Very classic Deadpool, and at the end of the world, you know, who can blame him? That ends it right then and there. call it done, call it a day. Honestly, the most disappointing thing is that this is over. Tom Taylor really has been killing it in so much of his writing, and I really hope that Marvel's gonna give him the opportunity to really give us more from this alternate universe. But let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you would like to support the channel, you can always donate by hitting the Super Thanks button. This button will let you donate directly to the channel. Every little bit helps, but if you can't do that, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, like this video, and until the next breakdown.